Hello there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and another card making video. Today I am playing with the March Glimmer Hot Foil kit of the month and pairing it with the clear stamp set of the month for March as well, both from Spellbinders, and making these fun Easter cards. This is the Let Your Sentiments Shine Glimmer Hot Foil kit of the month. There are 5 sentiments in this set, great for spring, birthdays, Easter, and thank you. And with this kit, you're going to get a roll of rose gold hot foil. Isn't it gorgeous? I love it. And then here is the wonderful spring clear stamp set of the month that I'll be using. I also have these egg shapes that I had previously die cut out from a retired die, so I'm going to be using those in today's project as well. First thing I'm going to do is create my backgrounds. So I'm stamping this spray of florals from the stamp set with VersaMark ink onto some white cardstock. There is a medium-sized flower spray there I'm going to add at the ends of the previously stamped image, which is pretty hard to do with clear ink on clear paper, but it ends up working out. Now what I'm doing here is adding PanPastels over the top. These pastels are super vibrant and very soft, and it takes so little to use. I love applying them over the VersaMark and they stick to the stamped image. I really wanted to have a teal look for my cards for my background today. So I took a lighter blue and an olive green, and I thought if I mix these together, because PanPastels are known for mixing really well, I thought I could come up with the color that I wanted, and it was super fun to do as well. So I'm mixing these, and then I'm going to bring in the colorless blender. It's like, you know, like you would have a blender pen. It's going to soften everything out and help those colors blend together. It also kind of lightens them. So I was loving how this looked. I thought it was really soft and pretty. So there is my very first background. For my second background, I'm going to stamp the flowers in the same way I did for the first card. I love how it kind of frames the sentiment that I'm going to put in the middle of this card. And then I'm going to do a little bit different blending with my PanPastel. So I'm going to have the blue coming from the top and then about a little more than halfway down. Then I'll have the green come up from the bottom and have it go more than halfway, so the two colors can blend together in the middle. So just like I would do with ink blending, I'm going to go back and forth between the two colors, which will help blend them together there in the middle. So I'm going to have my light blue at the top, my green at the bottom, and hopefully kind of a teal color in the middle. So I will use the colorless blender again after I blend this back and forth, and it really helps to soften the blend out. You'll see, you can notice it on this card a little bit more than on the other one. Now these sponges that I'm using, they're called soft tools, and they are specifically, well, it's the kind of tool that PanPastel recommends to use for this product, and they're kind of like a makeup sponge and they work really good. These are artist quality PanPastels. You are going to love the feel of these on your paper. So I brought in a darker blue. I just wanted to play around. I wasn't sure I was going to use this. It was getting a little bit dark, but I went back and forth between the light blue and the dark blue just to soften out that dark color. And then I brought in the green, and it ends up being awesome. And I loved this one with the dark, vibrant color a little bit more than the softer ones. So you'll see here, again, I'm going back and forth between the blues and the greens, and it really gave me that teal color that I was wanting. So after I used my colorless blender on this background, I actually brought back the other two, even though I had already splattered them, which I will show you the splatter in just a second, and added some of that dark blue and just intensified these backgrounds a little bit more, and I loved them even more after doing this. So let me know what you think. And have you tried the PanPastels before? I have several videos with the PanPastels because I really enjoy playing with them. They're so quick and easy to use, and you can get similar looks to ink blending with them. So there are the 3 backgrounds. They look awesome. And now let me show you the splattering that I did over the top with Turbo Teal Silk, also from the Spellbinders shop. I'm just putting that in a splatter box and splattering it all over the background and a little bit on myself. But it has a rich color with shimmer in it, so it's really fun for a background. Next, I am bringing in some matte fixative spray that is made for pastels. I'll spray those outside to fix that pastel so it won't smear later. And now let's move on to the hot foiling, which was heating up while I was making my backgrounds. I'm using that rose gold foil, and I'm going to foil it onto some peach colored cardstock. So I went ahead and used my quick trimmer to trim out this foil. I did get it a little long, so I will bring in my scissors and just trim off the excess here in a minute. What I'm going to do is take my sentiment and lay it down on this egg shape, and then I'll lift up my die and shimmy that little foil underneath so that the pretty side of the foil is facing the plate. Now I'll trim away any excess foil that I left a little too big. I'll press the timer and put my plates on top of that. Then when the timer goes off, I can run it through my die cut machine by removing that platform and running it through slowly. And then you can see the transfer here. Now, I think my hot foil machine sat for too long and it kind of went off and wasn't as hot as I needed it to be. So there was like a little spot where it didn't foil as well, but I'm going to go with it. I think it's fine for the look I'm going for on today's cards, which is kind of a shabby chic look. So here is my egg number 2, and this time I did have a little bit of that missing foil again. So when I run this through a third time, I'm actually going to bring in a shim, which just a scrap piece of cardstock that I'll add with my plates. And the reason why I'm adding that is because not all cardstock or hot foil is the same. Sometimes you need a shim and other times you won't. So if you have the same situation that I had where it didn't foil perfectly in a few spots, try adding a shim. Maybe you could even use printer paper, but this one came out perfect. So I was really happy with that. I'm going to set those sentiments aside and bring in the stamp set again and stamp out these 3 bunnies. I'm starting with VersaMark ink, and then I'm going to bring in some Walnut ink from Fawn to ink these up. I'm using the 2 inks combined together so I can emboss with a colored ink and clear powder. I did stamp this a few times just to intensify that brown color. Now I'm going to sprinkle on some clear embossing powder, and it's going to stick to these images perfectly. I'll melt that with my heat tool, and you can see I now have a nice brown embossed bunny, and it gives them a soft vintage feel. I took the same walnut ink, pressed it down onto my glass mat. I'm going to pick that up with my water brush and do a really simple, very loose watercolor on these images. I think these really remind me of like the Beatrix Potter books, the like Peter Rabbit. I don't know, they're just precious and really storybook-like. So I'll watercolor in each of these. Now this is just white cardstock. It's not watercolor cardstock. I'm not adding a lot of water, and so it's going to work out fine. But if you really wanted to go in with like the shadowing and highlights, then you would definitely want to use watercolor paper there. So there are my little bunnies. I'm going to trim around each of those, and then they will be ready to go on my cards. So for these cards, I am taking some twine and tying it around the middle in a bow. I feel like this fuzzy twine, it really makes me think of Easter and like baskets tied up with twine, and I don't know what it is about this twine that makes me think of Easter, but it does. So I added it to the center of my cards. I'm popping up my egg sentiments with some foam squares, and I'll just repeat that for all 3 cards. I love hot foiling sentiments. That's probably one of my favorite things to do with hot foil. It just adds a really nice touch of elegance to a card. My other favorite thing to hot foil would be backgrounds. I love that too. So for this card, I really felt like I needed the bow to be on the opposite side, so I just kind of curved my paper and scooted it over, and it worked out fine. Then I'll add my egg, and you'll see the bunny is going to go in the lower right corner, so the bow worked better on the left side. Next, I am bringing out some sequins from my stash. This mix has like super giant sequins and teeny tiny itsy bitsy baby sequins. So I added 3 large to each of the cards, and then I'm going to take 2 of the teeny tiny itsy bitsy sequins and put them in and around and next to the large ones. So there's going to be clusters of 3. 1 large, 2 small, and I did that in 3 areas on each card. So it's a lot of sequins, but I really like that look. It adds to kind of that splattery look. You can see I also added splatter to my eggs. I used peaches and cream splatter on the eggs to give them that speckled look, and it also adds to kind of the vintage feel of the card, where it didn't bother me that the sentiment was, you know, a little missing in some spots. Next, I stamped out some of the single flowers in this set, and I'm coloring them with Copic markers. My E02 was the perfect peachy color to go with my egg, and then I used YG11 on the leaves. They're super tiny, so there's no need to do more than 1 color of Copic marker for this. Then I'm going to add 3 flowers in and around each of the bunnies, and that just really helps bring out the peach in these cards. So I'm really happy with how these came out. I do love doing a shabby chic kind of card, and I think this is one of those kinds of cards, and it just made me so happy to do these and have that Glimmer Hot Foil sentiment right there in the middle. I hope that you have enjoyed this and maybe got some ideas for the March kits from Spellbinders. I'm going to have all the kits that are available from Spellbinders linked for you below, because they're such an awesome deal and I love how you can pair them together. If you didn't know, you can get their kits like in bundles. If there were certain ones that you really liked, you could get them at a greater deal by getting them in a bundle. So make sure you check that out. And if you are new here, feel free to subscribe. I have new card making videos all the time, and I will be back again very soon with another one just for you. Happy stamping! Bye!